Imagine walking into a world so realistic, so terrifying, that you can almost feel the cold air of an abandoned hallway, hear the creak of floorboards behind you, and question whether you're really safe, even in your own room. That's the power of ultra-realistic horror games, and the next few years are stacked with some absolute monsters. Today on Playverse Gaming, I'm diving into 10 upcoming horror games for 2026 and 2027 that are pushing graphics, atmosphere, and fear to a whole new level. Titles that feel like they could rival Resident Evil 9 REQUIEM in sheer intensity. Stick with me until the end because some of these picks are wild. And hey, if you love horror as much as I do, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe to Playverse Gaming, and ring the bell so you don't miss any new videos. All right, let's jump in.
Ill is probably one of the most hyped horror projects right now, and for good reason. Every single gameplay snippet looks disturbingly real. The lighting, the character animations, even the way blood flows is unsettling. What makes this game stand out is how physical it feels. Enemies don't just lunge at you in scripted ways. They stumble, crawl, and react dynamically to your attacks. The environments drip with atmosphere, filled with grotesque details that make you want to look away, but can't. It feels like the kind of horror game that doesn't just scare you with jump scares, but unsettles you on a deeper, more psychological level. Honestly, if this delivers on its promise, it could set a new standard for survival horror.
This place has been buried for centuries.
Dark Mass is one of those games that just screams dread the moment you see it. It's set in a twisted, industrial world where shadows feel alive, and every corridor hides something unnatural. The ultra-realistic graphics combined with the oppressive sound design create this sense of suffocation. What I personally love is how the game seems to be leaning into cosmic horror vibes, giving you glimpses of things that feel far beyond human comprehension. It's not just about fighting monsters, it's about fighting your own sanity while trying to survive in an environment that actively wants you dead. Definitely a game I'll be playing with the lights off.
What was that? I think I'm not alone down here.
Code Violet feels like a mix between Resident Evil and Silent Hill, and I mean that in the best possible way. It's got the gritty realism of survival horror with the psychological twists that keep you guessing. The game puts you in a city collapsing into chaos, where strange experiments have gone wrong, and the line between human and monster is blurred. What excites me the most is how it seems to be focusing on player choice, not just in combat, but in how you interact with survivors and uncover the story. The level of detail in the environments looks insane, with every alleyway and ruined apartment telling its own story. It's shaping up to be a horror experience that's both terrifying and emotionally engaging.
Liminal Point. Now this one hits me in a special way, because I love games that mess with your perception of reality. Liminal Point takes that creepy, empty but familiar place vibe, like abandoned malls, offices, or long hallways, and turns it into pure nightmare fuel. The graphics are so realistic that it feels like walking through actual photos, which makes every distortion and shift even more disturbing. What really makes this interesting is the unpredictability. Rooms don't always follow logic, and you'll constantly question if what you're seeing is real. It's psychological horror at its finest, and honestly, I can't wait to get lost in it.
Pragmata is a bit of a wild card on this list because it mixes sci-fi with horror, but man, does it look good. You're in a futuristic setting, yet the loneliness and tension feel straight out of survival horror. The environments look ultra detailed, from ruined cityscapes to eerie space stations. There's a mysterious little girl that seems central to the plot, and honestly, that mystery is what hooks me. It's giving off Dead Space meets Death Stranding vibes, with a touch of psychological horror thrown in. If it delivers both atmosphere and story, Pragmata could be one of those games that stays in your head long after finishing.
The Sinking City 2. The first Sinking City was underrated, but the Sinking City 2 looks like it's going all in on realism and immersion. Set in a city literally being swallowed by water and madness, it's heavily inspired by Lovecraftian horror. The visuals are sharper, the monsters look even more grotesque, and the sense of dread is overwhelming. What really excites me is how the investigative gameplay is coming back, meaning it's not just about shooting monsters, but piecing together mysteries that make your brain hurt. It's the kind of horror that creeps under your skin, making you paranoid with every new discovery.
Directive 8020. This one feels like the Dead Space spiritual successor we've been waiting for. Directive 8020 is set on a deep space mission where everything, of course, goes horribly wrong. The ultra-realistic graphics really bring the sci-fi horror atmosphere to life. These sterile hallways, the flickering lights, the grotesque alien infestations. What I like is that it seems to combine claustrophobic horror with action in just the right balance. It's one of those games where you're always low on ammo, always on edge, and never truly safe. Space horror is one of my favorite subgenres, and this is looking like a must-play. The Occultist looks like a horror game built for people who love mysteries. You're in a decaying town filled with dark secrets, and everything about it screams eerie. What makes it special is its focus on rituals, cults, and ancient horror, rather than just monsters. The level of realism in the visuals makes the supernatural elements hit even harder, because they contrast so sharply with the grounded environments. It's creepy, immersive, and one of those games where you never feel like you're getting the full story until the very end. Personally, I love games that make me paranoid about every shadow, and The Occultist looks like it'll deliver exactly that.
Our limitations as human beings prevent us from really seeing what is there. But when suggestive becomes evident,
The Grass of Genesis is probably one of the most mysterious games on the list, but that's part of the appeal. The Grass of Genesis seems to explore body horror and surreal environments with ultra-realistic graphics that make everything more disturbing. Imagine walking through a field that looks beautiful at first, only to realize it's full of horrors just beneath the surface. The little bits shown so far suggest it's going to play heavily with symbolism and unsettling imagery. It's the type of game where you won't just be scared, you'll be deeply uncomfortable. And honestly, that's exactly what I want from horror. Resonance, A Plague Tale Legacy. The Plague Tale series already had some of the most atmospheric storytelling in gaming, and Resonance looks like it's taking that to terrifying new heights. The rats are back, the environments look jaw-droppingly real, and the emotional storytelling seems intact. But this time, the horror feels turned up a notch, blending survival elements with ultra-realistic visuals that make every shadow and every sound in the distance feel threatening. What really excites me is that this isn't just a continuation. It looks like a bold new chapter with bigger stakes, more danger, and even more focus on horror. For me, this is one of the most promising titles on the horizon.
So there you have it. 10 upcoming horror games in 2026 and 2027 that look so realistic they could haunt your dreams. Each one of these titles is pushing immersion and fear to another level, and honestly, I can't wait to play them all. Which of these creeps you out the most? Let me know down in the comments. I love hearing your picks. And don't forget, if you enjoyed this video, smash that like button, subscribe to Playverse Gaming, and hit the bell so you never miss a deep dive into the next big games. Until next time, keep your lights on.